Hi, my name's Laura, and I'm a homeschool mom to 6 kids. 4 of them were homeschooling age this past school year that we just finished up in May. This video is about my 5th grader, a girl, what she did during her school year last year. I feel like as around 5th grade, she's kind of been independent for a while, but 5th grade was really a good independent year for her. We had a 1-year-old, or he was between a baby to 1 year old. He turned 1 at the end of the year, and so we had a lot of distractions this year, and so this was definitely a year that my 5th grader got to really be independent because as the younger kids have come up, so now this past year I had a kindergartner and a 3rd grader. They were really needing my help a lot, and so my 7th grader and 5th grader, I just felt like got even more independent this year. For our homeschool co-op, they do 2 subjects. And one of the subjects was science. Let me show you that. It's BJU Press, 5th grade science. And this she did pretty much completely independently. She would go to co-op once a week and then have homework for 4 days a week and had quizzes and tests and projects and all sorts of things. They gave them this binder, which she had assignments. She also had an activity book that went with that book, and it was utilized for her co-op class. So that was kind of out of my hands. And she also had an art class, and I don't have anything to show for that. They did tons of awesome art projects, but there was no curriculum. I think it's actually Meet the Masters is the curriculum that they use for that. They study like 5 to 6 artists and how their techniques, and then learn about the techniques, and then do homework on the techniques, and then in class they do art projects with those techniques, and then they have an art project. And then they also the next semester do geography. For her geography she did Europe and did this, but then also had a binder with a lot of projects and assignments in that too. And one of the main things they do in that class is study one country. So she studied Ireland and did a board about Ireland, a poster board, and learned a lot and wrote a paper about it and things like that. So that was great. Kind of related to geography, she has always liked art and drawing, and so we kind of wanted to explore that a little bit in 5th grade before she moved on to middle school. So I found this program called Draw the World, and it's from ridgelightranch.com. And it was the coolest thing. It's like a course where there's just tons of printables. This is just like an example of how she taught how to draw Europe. It's really, really detailed. She just goes continent by continent and has these really detailed guides that you get all, I mean, when you draw the world, you get all the continents, obviously, but it's kind of organized in a course online. And so you can download anything you want, download them over and over. There's videos, lots of PDFs to download. Now, she did not get to everything. I had kind of been inspired by the Challenge A program where they learn how to draw the world. So let me show you some of the things she did. So she first learned Canada, and somewhere around here, here's Canada. I couldn't find a colored one, but that's Canada. She also learned the US. One of these has the capitals. So she kind of teaches them spacing and everything, which was really cool. And then this is Europe. So she got it to 3 of the continents. Or I guess that's 2 continents. So yeah, anyways, it's a lifetime access, so we'll probably use that either for her or another kid. I thought that was just a cool way to incorporate like geography and drawing together. She did say it was really hard. I think it was probably like mentally challenging to draw all of that from memory, and then label everything. So that was one of her more challenging things that she did. She also, and then we have this binder that we were kind of keeping everything in. For language arts, she did 2A IEW with the streaming videos. Now this one, we actually got the DVDs. So they send you this like nice leather DVD thing. And she would do one of those per week ideally. And you just kind of take out her pages from the student binder. I had purchased the streaming videos for my oldest daughter, and I think I purchased this for my oldest daughter, and then just had to buy this one binder for her, which is actually really not a lot of money. So I always feel like that's a good deal once you like invest in those videos. It's lifetime access for the videos, either streaming or the DVDs. And then we have this teacher's manual. Now, I did not have to utilize this a ton just because I felt like the streaming videos really taught her everything that she needed to know. My main part of it was reading along enough with what they were teaching, and then looking and understanding the grading worksheets, because I did the grading and I had to know how to do the grading. And so when I purchased level 1A, I did some package that included the teaching structure and style videos, and I did that a couple of years ago. So I think that that was really helpful to know kind of what they're looking for as far as writing and grading and things like that. But we've been really, really happy with IEW, and I think she has written some amazing papers, and I've seen her really grow just by doing levels 1A as a 4th grader and now level 2A as a 5th grader. Now, I think after those 2 levels where they're like watching Andrew Pudawa teach, and there's like 24 weeks of lessons that you can kind of spread out throughout the year, I feel like after that, they're ready to go on to the IEW courses that are not video streaming. So those are like the history-based writing lessons. I think that they kind of, and my older daughter did this, and I purchased that for my 5th grader now for next year. I think they're ready for those history-based lessons because they are keeping the units pretty much the same, but they take away, obviously there's no videos to go with them. So in a way, they have more time to work on their papers, and really the only thing changing is the source material. So I don't know if we would have ever felt confident enough to just jump into the history-based writing lessons. I guess I could have really, really like leaned in on those teacher guides, but I felt like the streaming option was amazing, and then they can just go right into those history-based lessons and not have like a ton of like weekly involvement. I personally like have pockets of time here and there throughout the year where I could just like watch those teacher training videos, but when I'm really, really strapped for time is during the week. I just feel like I don't have time to sit down and teach like a writing lesson. So the streaming lessons were really great. For her, I guess also ELA, we used Essentials, which is a CC program that teaches like punctuation, grammar, like, let's see what else. Oh, sentence diagramming. And they even have spelling in there too. Now, I don't use the spelling in there, but we really like how they teach it, and the sentence diagramming and the corrections. I think it gives them like a really good foundation for all of those things that like continue to be on standardized tests, and just good things to know. Now, at the beginning of the year, I have like 2 teachers manuals two teacher binders that I like kind of switch out as they go through the year, and like as we go through the material, because it's a ton of material. I have like a refill binder. And then we made her this one this year, and I just made tabs with like this was a really cool printout that I found online. It was like a quid et quo printout, and just like some blank charts to copy. Then she had another tab that had her editing exercises. Then she had another tab that had her analytical her analytical task sheets, which was basically the sentence that she needed to rewrite. And then she diagrammed it down here at the bottom. And this was also a download I found online. And then there's even like these essential workbooks, which I found online that I think I probably paid for some of these, where it just kind of takes whatever concept they're learning and gives them some more practice. Like maybe it's like fill in the blank for certain things, or just extra editing exercises and things like that. Now, we didn't have too much success completing that. I felt like just doing the sentence diagramming and sentence editing and going over the new concepts was plenty for us. she did spelling workout, and I think we accidentally threw away spelling workout D, but she finished D and she started E this year. And this is like a super easy, the words aren't easy, but it's easy to implement spelling program. I have a teacher guide, but I don't think it's needed. I just kind of have them do a sentence, a group of words a week. You can tell it's late when I'm recording this. And they have little things to do with the words. So normally it's 3 activities. So one day they will do an activity per day. And then one day they could just write the words out. And then on Friday we can ideally have the test. And what I just did is I would mark the words that they got right or wrong on the sheet, like the blank piece of notebook paper. And then any words that they got wrong, we would just add to the very next list. So I would star them and like write them in red for that next list. And I feel like they would normally get them right that next week. But I mean, really, if you just keep getting them wrong, you just keep getting them added to the next week. And so that's how we kind of worked on our problem words. For history, we started the year doing the Good and the Beautiful U.S. Constitution study. I had wanted to do this along with the election cycle, and it was really, really cool to do it. There's so much in the news about elections, and it was really cool to read through the Constitution while that was happening and understand what was happening. This says grades 4 through 8, and I thought that was really accurate. I had a 3rd, 5th, and 7th grader. The 5th and 7th grader were good at understanding everything. I feel like the 3rd grader, it was a little bit of a stretch for him. Based on the website, I bought these student journals, which were awesome, and they were kind of referenced in every single lesson, like you needed them. So I highly recommend having this. I would just say, if you have a younger student, just go ahead and get them a little journal thing too, because they want to have what everyone else has. I found myself making copies for my 3rd grader, like the whole year out of this book. It was almost like the lesson referenced this. And so if you didn't have it, they kind of felt like, well, wait, where's my paper that the lesson's referencing? Now, they had said to get this. This was just kind of like a coloring book, more of like a keep that kid busy while at the table type thing. Not if they're trying to follow along and you say, hey, pull out this sheet and fill in the blank, they're going to get kind of upset that they don't have it, which is more what happened to us. Or not upset, but just like feeling left out. So then I ended up making copies. And then with that, there was this read aloud that went with it, which was really fun. And it kind of went through, it tied into every single lesson. So another really cool thing about this was that they had biographies of like a lot of the founding fathers and other just historical figures that they would play. And they were audio recordings. So a lot of the lessons had an audio recording of some like famous or maybe not so famous, but founding father of some sort. So that was really cool. We also kind of rotated in and out of Story of the World because we were on volume 3 and we were all really, really excited to read volume 3 because we'd done 1 and 2, like I felt like multiple times. So we really, really wanted to do this, and we were hoping that we could do it with the Constitution because the Constitution was a semester course, and this, could probably be done in a semester. So we were at first kind of rotating back between the two, and then we ended up just doing the Constitution, and then in the spring we just finished this. So this is a great curriculum. This activity book definitely I feel like is needed because it has review questions that we go over and narration prompts. I love that it has like a narration, like this is kind of what to expect from a narration. It's kind of helped me know what would be an acceptable answer from a narration. It also helps me help them if they're struggling coming up with it. We didn't do any of the additional history reading or the projects. That was beyond us this year. I felt like we're really just trying to get through the bare minimum this year with the 1-year-old or the baby this year. I also had these tests. Sorry, I showed you the wrong thing. This is the test and answer key, and this is the activity book. I had put all the tests, I had printed them all off, stapled them, had them all ready to go, and then we did not use them to the extent that I wanted to use them, but we did a few. And then also these student pages are in the activity book, but I took them out and put them in a binder so that I could easily, like, I just had a little sticky note in here that would show me which lesson we were on, and then I could like easily flip to, like, this is a coloring page of the Alamo. Like, it would allow me to easily flip to whatever the coloring page was for that day. And every lesson also had a map. So normally, right before we did the lesson, I would just like go to the copy machine and copy a map and a coloring page for all the kids and put, like, we would get like coloring things on the table, whether crayons or colored pencils or markers or something, and they would do that while I read. And I would normally put like the history spine on a book holder at the top of the table just to give them something visual, because that is something that the Story of the World doesn't have. They don't have like nice colored pictures that a lot of other textbooks have. So I like to display like a history spine. I feel like this is the easiest way to do history, and I just needed easy this year. In past years, we've done Sonlight, a bunch of books, and I love that, but it's a little more time consuming and just a little more like different pieces to work with. So that worked out really well. I mean, sometimes we would even listen to it on YouTube, because the audio recordings of all of those chapters are on YouTube, and there's even someone that has like the visual of the text like on the screen, which is really, really helpful just to stay focused. Like, you could kind of follow along like the words, like as if you're reading it while they're reading it. So that was history. We also have this We Draw to Learn, which corresponds to the CC Cycle 1, which is what we did memory work wise last year. Now, this was the year that my 5th grader was kind of stepping away from a lot of that memory work because she did her piano practice in the morning. She did some of the memory work with us, but this was a year that she just got a little bit more independent and didn't do a ton of this. But I still made this a couple years ago. We still love to use it. I did want to share that all the We Draw to Learns I made a couple years ago. There's one for every cycle, and I sell them on Etsy. So if you're interested in that and you have kids that are younger, this is something that I used with my younger kids, but 5th grade was when we started phasing out of like her doing this or doing the science memory work with us every day. And part of that was because her co-op, she had a science class already with her co-op. So for read alouds, we love read alouds. It's one of our favorite things to do together. The easiest way that I have found to do read alouds is just to buy a Sonlight pack on eBay right before the year starts, based on like around the history time that we're doing. And so this year we did Sonlight Core E, and it was just kind of like continuing on with history, and you know, a little bit more modern, not totally modern, but I'd say like between 1850 to 1950. And we read some really, really cool books. We started with All Sail Set, which was a really fun, like naval book that we all learned a lot about ships and sails and things like that. And I'm probably not doing these in order, but The Great Wheel, we really, really enjoyed this. This is like about the first Ferris wheel. Across 5 Aprils was, I think, about the Civil War. Also really, really good. Little Britches was one of my favorites. To me, it felt like Little House on the Prairie, but like a boy version of it. And there's like, it's like about a close family kind of going through some hard times. But it's like really, really heartwarming. I told so many people about this book. I'm currently reading the second one, actually. Cheaper by the Dozen was probably like the funniest one of the year and super relatable. And we had lots of funny shared memories from reading this one. Just things we could relate to. Behind Rebel Lines was about a girl spy. I think it was this is Civil War. So that one was also good. Moccasin Trail. I think we read this at the beginning of the year. This one had like a slower start, but ended up being really, really good. We enjoyed that. Great Turkey Walk, I would say probably on more of like the humorous end, but still kind of like gave you a taste of like a time and a place and history, and described it really well. It has some memorable characters. That's what Sonlight does. Sonlight does a great job at picking good books that maybe you wouldn't like pull off the shelf on your own. Like I probably wouldn't have found that one on my own. The Winged Watchman was really, really good. It was about Nazi occupation during World War II. And Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. We're actually reading this right now because we got a little bit behind. but this one is really good and we're enjoying it. The Sonlight core that we got had a ton of history books in it, and obviously we were doing the Constitution study, and I kind of had I had too much curriculum to work with. So a lot of the history books went unread, and I don't know, maybe we'll read them one day, but we did pick this one out of the batch, and really, really enjoyed it, about William Wilberforce. And then the kids have in that set, there's a lot of readers is what they're called, that they read. So Bridget is not doing literature. My 5th grade daughter, is not doing literature with her co-op, so she had a little bit more time to read. So she loved just being assigned readers. So some of the ones that she did was Sing Down the Moon, Freedom Train about Harriet Tubman, Turn Homeward, Hannah Lee. Now all of these I didn't read, but she said that she liked all of them. The Terrible Wave, Shades of Grey. Brutchko I have read, is an awesome book about a missionary. All of a Kind Family, Wright Brothers. There's a good mix of different topics. Shoes for Everyone, Helen Keller, In the Year of the Boar and Jackie Robinson, Gone Away Lake, Thimble Summer, and The Perilous Road. So that kind of gives you a feel of the readers and the read-alouds. I would say the read-alouds are a little a little more challenging level, and we do stop up sometimes and answer questions or explain vocabulary words and things like that. And then but the readers have always been a really, really good challenge level for my girls. I feel like they're always maybe not what they would pick for their free reading time, but still really enjoyable and entertaining and memorable, and maybe slightly more difficult than what they would choose on their own, but not quite as difficult to read. They're not going to be super confused about what's going on. The read-alouds, the read-alouds allow for pauses and explanation, but I feel a lot of times those pauses and explanation are actually great learning opportunities. And then for math, last but not least, she continues to use Math Mammoth. Now she has always been ahead in math, and has always kind of stuck to Math Mammoth and was always half a year ahead until this year. This was the year that we actually finally cashed in on the fact that she was half a year ahead, and she ended up doing 5th grade and finishing 5th grade at the end of the year. So next year we will just do 6th grade. So this, I just bought it, the PDFs, and so I print it and bind it, and every year is 4 of these, so 2 of them is 1 semester. But in this book is everything you need. It has the explanation, and the practice and the actual problem. So I really like how it's everything all in one. That's not a super good example of a new concept. Here's a good example of a new concept. The box at the top is explanation, and then it starts on the problems, and then even in one lesson you might have a couple different sections with boxes, okay, do some practice and then we're going to learn something new. So I feel as long as they're able to read the box and kind of understand, then the problems that follow are very similar to what's in the box. And then she does have videos, and getting up to 5th grade and 6th grade, has been more of a need to watch some of those videos. But I've always felt it's a good challenge level for my 5th graders. So we're just going to stick with that and, stick with it until it doesn't work anymore. And so far it's still working. So that's all for my 5th grader. I hope that some of this might be helpful to you, and just check out some of my other videos. I'm hoping to do some more on my younger kids, my 3rd grader and my kindergartner, coming up soon. Thanks. Bye.